Tom's day.
Good morning, team. Before anybody else jumps on, so that's three of us, just to make sure. Yeah, it's just us at the moment. Oh, that's Kylie. Hello, Kylie. Thanks for jumping on. And we're expecting at least 50, 60 people to jump on. It's a lot of people registered, over 150 people, but hopefully a lot of people don't turn up on the day. So I'm being conservative by saying 50. We'll see how we go. We might get a lot more. Ed, Jesse, how you doing? Thanks for jumping on to help out, and looking forward to today's stuff. Can we put up the agenda, perhaps? Yeah.
Cool. About 10 minutes before, 12 minutes before we get started.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to cover the request to hire, as well as the offer approval workflow, and explain how it's all interconnected, and how the data that was approved by the business from the request to hire stage, and then finally it was finalized during the offer, then will funnel into your onboarding, and therefore will find itself into various items of your onboarding pack, such as a job offer, a employment contract, a form, etc., to pre-populate all the information, all these assets, instead of having to do all that manually yourself. We will be starting, however, with those positions that require knowledge of, for example, award system or an enterprise agreement, where the hiring initially, you need to really indicate in which level or pay points you want that person to be starting, and for the managers to be able to indicate that quite easily, instead of being perhaps looking in the wrong EBA or all that, to simplify it before you're able to put it for approval. You want to be able to make it clear, that you are adhering to the right EA or award system, and what the level for that person is going to be. So we call that the agreement piece. So we're going to create a new agreement, create a new job family, and then create a couple of pay points under that. And then we go ahead and create the position, link all that data into it, and then we go to the org chart and start hiring for that position from there. And so the requisition form will end up being completely pre-populated. You don't have to do anything once you've done that. And we go and approve it, and we do quick shortlisting, and we finalize the offer. We make an offer, verbally say over the phone, and we capture what we agreed with the candidate on, and then we generate the pack on that basis. Have that approved internally, or sign off maybe the contract internally, and send it to the candidate. So that's what we're going to be able to do very quickly. And by the time we've done that, when the pack's completed, we then show you how the person that you've hired appears in the org chart in that position, reported to the right person, flagged with the right position, and whether it's permanent, full-time, etc., showing you all that in the org chart without you having to move a finger. All that will be done automatically, because we started from the org chart. So there's that knowledge. The org chart knows what you're doing. You're recruiting person in that particular node. That means they are reporting to that particular person. All that will be there. You don't have to do anything. So that's what we're aiming to do. A lot of work, I guess. So we have to go a little bit fast. Otherwise, I can see myself in an hour time only completing maybe half of the agenda points, and that would be a bit disappointing. So we just have to remember to keep going, not to get stuck and bogged down in a particular one point, because people can reach out always. They're happy to, more than welcome to reach out, and we can go into more in-depth, if you like, demo or trial with them. We can even set up a trial for anybody who isn't using any of these features. So we're just warming up, guys. So if you've just joined, you haven't missed out on anything. This is just the agenda. Well, literally just keeping people engaged and talking about what we are talking about, but we will repeat all that when we at 11 o'clock. So you haven't missed out on anything. One interesting thing here is what we found is the offer approval, where it is such an important piece, and the chances are all of our clients are paying for it, in particular the clients who are paying for the requisition, recruitment and onboarding, which is really the bread and butter of the platform. And that is about 90%, if I was to guess, of all our clients are paying for those.
Yeah.
And therefore 90% of our clients should have access to the offer approval, already paying for it. And really, really, we don't like it when we know that a client is not at least knowing about it. If that's, you've made that decision, you don't want to use it, you don't believe it adds value, that is perfectly fine. But for those clients who didn't know about it, if anything, I'm blaming ourselves. Clearly, we haven't been explaining it properly, or whatever, efforts that we should have been making to make sure people are aware of it, and how, if and how it would add value to a company. I would be very surprised if anybody says, look, it doesn't add value. But nevertheless, clearly, we're always learning about all these different, all the different business models and what our clients do. So that can happen, but we just want to make sure we really explain it today. That was really a key motivator for me to put this webinar together, and explain what the offer approval does and how it's interconnected with the request to hire, recruitment, offer, onboarding. All those pieces are interconnected, and they feed off each other, and they help each other out. They complete each other. So welcome everyone who just joined. We're expecting about 50 people to join today. A lot of people registered, more than 150 people, but sometimes people forget, or they get busy and don't turn up. But certainly we're expecting minimum of 40 people to attend. So we still have 5 minutes to 11 and we'll get started. I've put up the agenda on the screen. I should probably maximize this so people to read it properly. That's a bit better. You should be able to read it, guys, okay?
Yep.
Cool.
Looks good.
Yeah, so today is about the request to hire, followed by the finalization of the offer. When you're making an offer with a candidate in person or verbally, you want to be able to capture those details that you've agreed to with the candidate, such as the start date, such as the final hourly rate, the final salary, etc. The key employment conditions. And once they're captured via the offer approval phase, then we are able to flow that information for you into your onboarding pack, meaning into your employment contract, job offer, whatever merged document that you have in there, as well as into the form. We can pre-populate some of the information if needed, if it's been captured. And so it's really, really important. Saves a lot of time and a lot of back and forth and errors as well, misunderstanding in emails or a chat over coffee in the kitchen, which is always good. Don't get me wrong, I love coffee and I love chatting. But sometimes, when it comes to 54,500, you would rather that being already written and captured than maybe having to remember that when you get back to your desk. So yeah, that's really what we really want to emphasize, how what we call the backbone of the recruitment and onboarding process, those pieces: request to hire, recruitment, offer approval, onboarding, and finally push that information into maybe a payroll system or any of your existing systems. So how many minutes to start? 3 more minutes, guys. I'm just keeping us warm, but we're not going to start till 11 on the dot. 3 minutes to go. But yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time, guys. Very, very important webinar. As I was saying before, for those of you who just joined, the chances are all our clients, comfortably I can say 80% of our clients are actually paying for the offer approval, but they're not using it, or at least half of the clients not using it, just because probably they didn't know about it. And so I really want to make sure we understand how it's an integral part of the whole approval workflow, from the requisition to recruitment, offer approval, then onboarding, because whatever you captured in the offer approval will be able to automatically flow the information for you into, for example, your employment contract, any of the assets that you might have in your onboarding packs. So it's really, really important. The other thing about the offer approval and why I wanted to talk about it is we know that a lot of clients, for some roles, some clients, some industries, I'm not suggesting for everyone, even when the requisition was approved, and let's say, okay, we're happy to hire someone between 60 and 80, and you've hired someone at 70 and that's approved, that's fine. But they still want, I know a very large company, even the CEO want to see right at the end, the information. They want to see what was approved. They want to see what the final offer was. So in this case, 60 to 80, okay, we want to make them an offer for 75,000. The candidate is happy with that. We are happy with that. But they want to also see the candidate. So three, in the sense, angles or facets. They want to see what was approved between the manager and the execs. They want to see the final offer that they negotiated with the candidate, and they want to see the candidate that we intend to hire. They want to see, for example, their resume, any key information about them for them to go, you know what, this is a good hire. We're doing a really good job here. The whole recruitment piece in our business is really good. I can see that's a strong candidate that was hired. I can see how long it took. I can see when the requisition was approved, and when we are right now making a final offer, it's been pushed to me to approve it. That means it's taken 15 days, 30 days. So, you know what? This is flowing. I can see a lot of information, details between the manager and the execs that being approved. That means there's a lot of visibility. The system is actually allowing us to capture all these details, so there's no guessing, there's no disputes. So the CEO will go, wow, this is amazing. Yep, they approve it and they're happy. So that's what this allows you to do. The offer approval, although you don't have to, if for some role or in your company, have it to have approved. But if you say, look, we need someone to approve the whole thing, that's what it allows you to do. Select that person, send it to them. They get a link, they click on it, and they see literally 3 tabs, as we will show you very, very shortly. Here's what the business approved. That's the request to hire, and who approved it and when. It's all there. Here's what we are intending now to the final offer to be. And here's the person that we've made the offer to verbally, and they've accepted it. And then let's go ahead with that.
We're ready to kick off.
Very good. So let's get started, guys. That's 11 o'clock. Can't believe I finished that right on time.
Yep.
I actually thought I've taken 10 minutes, 5 past now or something. This is impressive. Very good, guys. So that's the agenda. If you've just joined, you haven't missed out on anything. I was just keeping us warm, talking about what we're about to talk about. We haven't started at all, guys. So thanks, everyone, for joining. And thank you to Jesse and Edward from marketing here to help out with this, to make this possible. And we're going to get started. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, there's an icebreaker thing. We're going to get started with that. Let's do it.
So we've got just a poll up, cat versus dogs. Oh, we've already got some. Got a fan of both. Not a pet person. Ooh, dogs are winning.
This is Australia. I know that for a fact, including myself.
Very good.
I mean, dog parks are more prominent than people parks
I
these
think
days.
so. Very true.
I know that for a fact. So, yeah, I love cats too, guys. I'm not offending anybody here. I'm happy to have 5 cats and 5 dogs, as a matter of fact, if I had the room.
Very good. Excellent.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. We're going to get started now. The first thing that we're going to do in order to build a request to hire workflow, we are going to create some paid data, because I know a lot of our clients still work with paid data, such as awards they need to adhere to, or EBAs, enterprise agreements, or any kind of agreements where it may be built internally. You've designed your own bands, job families and bands, to cover all the positions in the business, to create fairness and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. For us, it's a generic. We don't really care what that such an agreement is. And let's dig straight into it, and that will make more sense when you see what I'm talking about. So I'm logged on here to an account.
You have to share your screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Jess. Start sharing. Here we go. The first thing, as I said, we're going to do, guys, we're going to come to open your org chart here, go to agreements. We're going to very quickly, only take 2 minutes to create quickly an agreement. At the moment, this company that I'm using for the demo purposes is a hospitality-based company, restaurant business, that kind of stuff. They happen to be a national business, say they have an award system or EAs, etc., for each state. So they've created, for example, one for New South Wales, and they've got the same job families pretty much repeated in each of them, but maybe clearly different data in each state. So, for example, we've got the front of the house waiter kind of job family, front of the house here. Oh, it's loading. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Let me just refresh the page, guys. I'm not sure what that is. I think I'm having a little issue here. 1 second. Definitely there's something not right here, guys. Can you just give me a moment? Jess, do you want to maybe...
Okay, we'll do another poll. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Give me a second, guys. Thank you, Jess.
No worries. Were you at our last webinar on the org chart and position library? Very good. All right, so anybody that wasn't on the last webinar, you can reach out to myself or marketing and support, and we can have a recording sent to you if you need, and you can share that with your team. Good. Just be a few more moments there.
No, that's something out. Yep.
Okay, and we'll just do another poll here. Are you currently using the offer approval stage?
Hey guys.
Okay, looks like a few people aren't. It'd be great to set up some calls just to show you the, I guess, the value in using the offer approval stage. So happy to jump on a call with anybody or set up a meeting, and we can kind of show you how that works and go through that and see if it's going to be relevant for your company. Okay, good.
Okay, thank you. There's a call on the side.
No worries, Melissa. That's fine.
Thank you, bud.
That is so surreal. So you can't even hardly people. So you got any question? No, right.
Okay, and sorry, they're just fixing a bug in the back there. What aspect of these webinars provide the most value to you? Very good. Yeah, that's exactly what we are running these for the training, is discovering new features that you're not using, any sort of questions that you may have, and obviously learning the best practices throughout the system as well. We just want to make sure everybody's, fully across all the capabilities and functionalities of the system, because we want you to get the best usage out of the account. And always happy again for you to reach me. I will put my email in the chat box. At any time, if you just want to have a conversation, we can go through your account, we can do a demo of any of the other items and modules of the system. Always happy to help.
Yeah, it's unusual that who knows, it's like attachment scrap maybe.
All right.
Things aren't infallible, maybe we've got DDoS or something.
And there's my email, just in the chat.
Yeah, it's like, who knows? Possibly didn't happen. Yeah, it does feel like it was a bit intentional.
Okay. All good?
It's all good, man. It's all good.
All right, we're back in action.
So what's that thing on the screen? Do we
Do you want to?
close it somehow?
You can close it.
How do you do it? Oh, close. Okay. How do you close it? Button called close. All right. Okay, guys, thank you for your patience. We are back. What I was explaining is this particular company happened to be in the hospitality industry, and they are national business across multiple states. And so they have to adhere to certain award system / agreements, enterprise agreements, etc. And we've taken this example here for New South Wales, for example. They've got a waiter job family to cater for the front of the house roles. And there happen to be 3 levels. Typically you have more, but this is just example data. How this data is created, for example, I want to add another level here. I click on edit, and these are the levels there, and you're able to move them up and down from here. But nevertheless, add a new point there. If I want to do level 4, 30, the hourly rate, standard hourly rate, the standard casual rate is 35, and the standard salary is 65 in case for a full-time employment or part-time permanent. And we save this. So now we've got 4 levels there. So what we can do, I'm going to create quickly an agreement now that you understand that, to show you how that works. I'm going to call it the same thing, hospitality industry award 2023, and I'm going to call it for Queensland. Let's say they also have businesses in Queensland. Location, I want to link it to Queensland as a state. This is a very interesting one. I don't want to get stopped on it, but we will be able to recommend when someone is filling out a requisition form which agreement they should be choosing from based on where that restaurant is. We know that restaurant from the location, which is a geolocation, it's in Queensland, and we already say this is the agreement you should be working with. And but we're not going to get stuck with that. We will do a separate session focused on this area. There's a lot of depth to this area. So we created a new agreement, should come up, show up at the bottom here, and we start now to add job families, and every job family will have 1 or more levels or bands. So job family in this case will be the same thing on the front of the house or waiter. House roles, I'm going to call it. For a full-time hours per period, I can indicate it based on fortnightly or weekly. So for example, if it's fortnightly, I can put in here, I don't know, 70, 75, 80, whatever that might be. And do I want to enter the database only on rate because maybe only hire casuals or whatever it might be the reason? Only salaries, only hire permanent full-time, or really both? We give you the choice not to burden you with having to enter data that you don't need. So if it's both, do I need pay points or do I need band? A band will force you to enter for everything. It would have to be, when you're adding a new band, for the minimum hourly rate, the standard hourly rate that we saw before, or for the casual hourly rate, now we have 2 things for each, min, max, same for the salary. And the tolerance is something to do with the approval. If the manager wants to pay more than, for example, 20% outside of the range, then we can flag certain approvals to come up and stuff like that. That's what the tolerance is for. We're not going to get stuck on that, guys. We have to keep moving. I'll simplify it, make it a pay point, add a new pay point. I'm only going to do one. Level 1. Level 1, hourly rate is 25, 28, and the standard salary is 50,000. And that is it, because we're not going to even use it, to be honest. We will use the existing one from New South Wales. Just want to show you how to create one from scratch. So we've got this is the agreement name. Tells you it's in Queensland and covers Queensland, I mean. And then the job family, the only one that we created is called front of the house roles. And under that, there's only one level 1. Actually, we may as well use it. I'll just create one more. It's actually better to work with something we just created now, so people sort of understand it better. Level 2 is 27 and 30 and 55,000. We'll just do 2 and that will do. Perfect. We've got now 2 levels. Oh, what happened? Oh, I didn't click on save, I think. Oh, sorry. Level 2, 30, 33, and 55. Perfect. Save. Now we've got the 2 levels. Perfect. So we've got now the agreement. We're going to jump to the positions, and very quickly, we've got a waiter. I also don't want to work with existing data. Let's create something from scratch. We remember it better, guys. Add position. It takes a second. I'm going to call it floor staff. Okay? Just to differentiate it from waiter, because I already have it. And create. This is all optional. This is where HR can really link that data to make it very, very easy and quick for the managers not to make any mistake. However, this is one thing I want to flag, that we now introduce the ability to not only be able to recruit employees, to also be able to recruit volunteers and external contractors, through an ABN or from a labour hire agency. You can also create those engagements, those recruitment via the platform with that. Also, we've got a student placement. It could be a research project, PhD project, or something where the student has to come to the company and do some work, but it's just a student engagement type. So let's work with employee for this purpose, clearly. Common law. Oops, zooming stuffed it up. Common law for from the remuneration point of view, or is it a predefined agreement? We want to use the predefined agreement. Which agreement do you want to use? The Queensland one. And which job family? There's only one anyway, the front of the house. Which levels would you use when you're hiring new people into this role? Look, we were happy to work with either of the levels. Now, what employment types? Now that we know it's an employment, is it full-time, part-time? Well, in our business, we do full-time for that kind of role. And we also do, so we've got a full-time, we also do casual. Let's just do those. For the casual, we ask you something like, how much roughly do you intend to spend in a year? What kind of budget you have for that? 30,000, let's say. And that's it. So now you've indicated that that's typically how the engagement types we're willing to use when we're recruiting front of the house people, or in this case, floor staff people. I'm done with this. All of that was optional anyway. We highly recommend it. Clearly, it makes life easy for the managers and all that, but nevertheless, we don't force you to use it. So we've got the position ready to go. We're ready to recruit now. I'm going to do it from the org chart, but it's the same thing for those of you who just still do it from straight away from a request to hire. It's exactly the same thing. It's the same form, just where we arrive at the form from is the only thing. Why we want to do it from the org chart? Because you will end up, the org chart self-updates. Once you've hired that person, the person pops up in the org chart without you having to move a finger. So it stays up to date all the time, and this is why we want to do it from there. But it makes no difference if you're not using the org chart at the moment. So please don't feel intimidated by that if you're not using it. They're going to be reporting to Greta. So I'm going to go ahead and add a vacant position in here, or even 2, for example, 3 even, under using the position that we just created, which was floor staff, I believe. Yeah. So it's the floor staff, just all completion. We can select the engagement right here. We know that we want 3 people to be permanent full-time, or we just leave it up to the manager to do that. We just left it like that. So we've got the 3 vacant positions here. So the manager can come into the org chart with the access control in place in terms of what you wanted to be able to see or do, or whoever is doing the recruitment. They can come specifically and just, I want to say, I want to only hire 1 person right here. So you click on this and literally pick up the form from here, keep going. And that's why I said it's really the same thing, how you arrive at the form. Or just before I do that, they can do it in bulk from here. So the manager would be Greta would be here and just say, I want to hire multiple people under me here, fill multiple of those vacancies, in other words, meaning 1, 2, or 3. So she would come here and recruit for nodes under this node. And that will show us, will show them any vacant positions that are available. And here it's saying there's a 3 vacant position floor staff and there's 2 waiters. I'm hiring here. Well, how many do you want to hire? We start with 1. She can go 2 or 3. If she can even go 4, we warn and we create the 4th one on the fly. So it's perfectly fine. We're hiring 4 people, which requisition form in my case is only once. It's automatically selected. And that is business as usual here for, I would imagine 90% of people on the call would be familiar with this, are using the requisition. So this is 100% the same, no difference, just how we arrived at the form, guys. The beautiful thing about this as well is we now know the position already. It's selected, floor staff. We want to indicate which location. If that node already, we selected a location on it, meaning which restaurant, it would have been already selected. So let's select a restaurant here. They're all in New South Wales. We don't have a Queensland location. We're going to have to cheat, guys. We don't have time to create that, sorry. So we're going to pretend the Dancing Dingo is in Queensland. Okay, so it's an engagement type. It's an employee. And this comes up, says, well, do you want to do full-time? It shows in the full-time already set up, the casual already set up, but they can still do whatever you want to do. So you're not really stopping them. Let's say it's permanent full-time. You'll find everything is already pre-populated. That's the beautiful thing about it. They really don't have to do anything. And that's a summary of it. So the full-time hours is 80 per fortnight there. And the full-time equivalent is 1 because it's permanent full-time. And the pay value options, predefined agreement. And this is the levels, and front of the house is the job family. So now we're going to go ahead and enter a preferred start date. Ideal start date, wanted to be starting on the 27th on Monday, and save that. The department under the kitchen, front of the house, 4 people already selected because we already started in Oxshot knowing that fact. Everything is ready to go here. I'll just select myself as the HR person who will be doing the recruitment and submit the form. Because I'm logged on as both the manager and the HR, I can see it coming up under my jobs. So I can pick it up from there and approve it, but it would be in my inbox, it would be in my email, it's in the app as well, multiple places where you would approve it from. But in my case, I can do it from here the quickest. I'm going to approve it. So there's only 1 approver, so now it will be, the HR team will be notified that it's been approved and they can now complete the process. Someone in the HR team or all the team, as you guys know, I'm sure everybody's familiar with that part. Complete the approval. Oh, was that saying something? Oh, sorry, I need to choose which workflow. I happen to have more than workflows set up in recruitment workflows for this account. So we have to select one. Training, recruitment workflow, sure, we'll work with that. So now it's been approved. These tabs now are unlocked, so I can go ahead and enter a copy of the ad and all that good stuff. I can go and do the posting, but I'm not going to do any of that, guys. We're going to jump straight away to candidate. We're doing well, by the way, 22 passed.
Very good.
So I'm going to, instead of doing an application and all that, I'm going to link someone from the database. So let's say you've got good people that you've been adding to your talent pool that applied in the past. You want to go and mine that data, and you found someone, and we're going to pretend that that's what we're doing here. So link existing, and I'll just add myself there, link to this job. So that's now we have a short list, which is 1 candidate. That's fine. we're going to go in here and pretend we've gone through all the processes, all the steps in the process. We're going to shortcut all that straight to the final offer. So now this is, say, a few days or a week or whatever later, we phone the person, maybe right now we're with them on the phone, or we pull up the thing before we call the person, and we negotiate that job with them, and we make them the offer, they accept it, and especially if there's any variations. Well, in this case, you have to tell us which level. What you've indicated before is, look, we're happy to hire people at level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now the manager needs to decide how much experience this person, etc., where therefore they need to be. They make the offer, they negotiate it, they agreed on level 2. That's all they have to do. It's all full visibility there. They literally don't have to do anything. The question of, do they want to pay them above what was agreed and stuff, all available here, guys. Even if you want to put a trigger that if they're going to override the award, then it has to go for approval. We can set all this up, but I don't want to get bogged into it, just so you know. Nevertheless, now we have a proper offer that was captured. What was the final date? We finalize it here. So we say, okay, it was on the 27th, but unfortunately they can only start on the following one. We change it to that. So now we have the final start date, final salary, and anything else clearly that you want to have here to finalize during the offer. There's an interesting thing or fact that I probably should have shared, but mindful of the time, I'll just explain it quickly. So in the admin here, guys, if I look at all, I'm the admin person now. Well, typically HR people have got admin, at least most of them. And if I go onto job and look at the offer approvals, the one that we're using, we've only got one in this account that is live, which is of a type new hire, as opposed to offboarding approval, change of conditions approval. This is the only one, so I'm going to go into it. In here, I need to explain this really interesting concept. Let's say you've got things that are only applicable during the offer, because, for example, you want to ask a question about if they bring their own knives up. That would be more of a kitchen role, I'm thinking. I'm trying to think for a floor staff, what would be some information you want to capture. Maybe the roster, maybe the final roster, if it's a permanent part-time, and you want to negotiate with them if they can do Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or Saturdays, nights, or maybe that information doesn't need to be part of the request to hire, because you're just approving the budget there. Look, it's 3 days a week, and the business approves that. But what exact days it's going to be between you and the candidate, perhaps? There's all kind of stuff like that, but I think it's a good example. So what you would do, you would build your form on that basis. You'll add extra fields here. So I'm going to start from scratch and maybe call it roster, and that would be maybe a multi-choice drop down. There's a million ways of doing it, guys, but I'm just going to call it here the part-time roster, if that makes sense. It's mandatory as well. And I put in here, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Let's spell this one right. Where yeah. And Saturdays, I'm going to go quickly through this, not all of them. Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, so which of those that you're going to end up negotiating with the candidate? So what I'll do, we add it to the field, that's fine, to the form, but what we then do, we go and say defer this only to the offer stage, defer to the offer stage, meaning it'll only be editable and, available in a sense, it's /editable during the offer phase. See how the color changes when you hover over it? It says this field will only be completed in offer phase. So in my communication for this webinar, when I said they are an integral part, I wasn't really over exaggerating. And when I said it's the backbone of the whole flow, the request to hire, recruitment, offer approval, it's really one big flow. And then when this is completed in the offer, then it can be automatically gone into your contract if you wish to put in the contract what was agreed, what days they're going to be working on, what are the exact 3 days, for example. This can be flowing automatically in your contract. So what will happen in the offer form, which is we were looking at, maybe this is automatically let me see if I can cancel this and open it again. It might actually bring it up. So if I go back here, sorry guys, 1 second, open this, let's see if it comes up. No, it didn't come up, maybe because we started the form. So what we could do, maybe see if I can delete it quickly. How do I delete it? Under the packs, we show you any offer approval. Still hasn't been completed, that's fine. All right, so what I can do is move them back. So you don't normally do that stuff. It's a bit of cheating, guys, right? And start again, offer approval. Let's say it pops it up afresh, and still picked up that there's something being done, which makes perfect sense. I would have to start with a new candidate. Nevertheless, what will happen, guys, really not hard to visualize. That thing about the roster will come up here. We decided it needs to be at the end of the form. Could have been anywhere. It will exactly look what we looked at before in the admin here. It'll be blue like that. The hover, I'm sorry. In the request to hire, it looks blue like that, and it says you can't edit it. It will be completely editable, business as usual, like every other field in the offer. So you're able to click it and say, okay, we agreed on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Simple as that. So the idea is when you're building the request to hire, it's not just about the initial approval prior to recruitment. You're customizing so much more, and we're only covering a little bit because I want to be able to get to the end by 12 o'clock. Even during the approval, you can customize at the offer here who would be approving it. It doesn't have to be the same people it goes back to. It could be that if and when you want to use, you type a justification report for any changes you might have made in here, and you say, I want to send it for approval, then it doesn't have to follow exactly what happened. You can customize all that. There's a lot that you can do all from here in the request to hire. It's got a section all dedicated to the offer approval. This approval section is for the request to hire. This approval section with different options and sophistications, all about what will happen, how will it behave during the offer approval phase. So let's talk, if you want to use it, guys. The chances are 90%, the chances are that you are paying for it, but you're not using it. So don't be shy. Find out. We'll tell you if you're paying for it. And as I said, 90% chance that you are. And then we'll be able to help you to set it up. It's really, really important, guys. So what we're going to do on this occasion to keep moving, we're going to just submit it without even approval, just to get things. You know what? I'm going to actually send it for approval because I want to show you what it would mean when it gets to the approval. That's right. I'm sorry about that. So submit for approval. It's going to come to me for approval. So if I go back here, here's the candidate, open a record again. That's okay. I'll find that in my email. Give me 1 second, guys, or it might be in the inbox. Let me see. I can get it from here. Perfect. So it would be in my email, it could be in my app, from the app, or it could be that I got it from the inbox because I'm the same user. So this is the interesting thing about the offer approval. It's got, so to summarize, it's got two facets to it, two major values that it adds to the workflow. Not only it allows you to capture the final offer, and therefore that information you've captured will flow into your onboarding assets automatically, such as the contract, which is huge, that in itself. That is a huge value, yeah? So I'm going to repeat, two values to the offer approval phase. The first one is that it allows you to capture in a very accurate and professional manner all the relevant information that you need to finalize during the offer negotiation. And therefore, once that data is captured properly, it can flow into your contract, etc. in the onboarding. The other aspect of it, if you want in your business, someone such as CEO, the head of a department, director of someone, of something, they say, look, for every hire under my division, I want to see right at the end, you guys, the manager and the execs, can worry about all that stuff, and CFO, whatever, have this approved, go and find the person. But just before you send them a contract, I want to see the whole thing, an overview, what was approved, so the requisition, that will show you exactly what was approved and who approved it and when. Yeah, all the information there. Then I want to see what the final offer was in case there was any changes. 55,000 approved, you decided to offer them 60K, which is fine, but just want to see it. And I want to see, well, justification report, for example, why. So you would have written something here. Look, I've decided to offer them 60K or 65K because of blah, blah, blah. And that would be highlighted in red anyway. If what you selected is higher than what was approved, we will really flash it out there and you're able to explain why. But also they want to see the candidate. They want to see maybe their resume, their cover letter, their screening questions they entered. I've got none of that information here, guys. I've just created literally the candidate with name, last name, and email. So you can share with them, you can just customize here what information you want to make available to them here. By default, these are the 3 tabs that are available. So they can go, yeah, I can see why. I'm really comfortable with the fact that we had to give them a bit more than what we initially approved. The CFO is okay with that. I think it's worth it. Then it's okay. Let's keep going. They can even see, for example, when did the requisition start? When was it finally approved? The date. And now they're asking me to approve this. That means the offer's been accepted, the recruitment pretty much completed. They can see how long it took. They can see the efficiency. They can see the professionalism that is now happening between the managers and the execs and HR in terms of the information that is getting approved. Wow, there's a lot of details. Everything's captured properly. There's a proper accountability in our business. If there's any dispute, if there's any issues, we can go back and see exactly what happened. They are impressed with the process. They're comfortable. They approve it and they keep going. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to do that, especially if it doesn't cost you anything. Literally single click of a button and all that is just available to that person. And then they can decide to approve it or not. I'm not sure why this is not allowing me to approve it. Where's the approval button? Maybe I'm logged on as the wrong person here or something like that.
Just a quick question from Karen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to be in the approval. That was a requisition. Sorry, guys.
And just a quick question from Karen.
Mhm.
Is there the ability to import data into the agreement section?
Not at the moment. Definitely coming through. 100% will be coming through. But I don't know. I would love feedback from Karen. Would that be, just give me feedback. I'm really not questioning the ideas. Definitely makes sense. But you can imagine we have to be just clever and generic about what kind of import. Different people use different kind of data. But definitely coming through. Just wondering, how long will it take, say, on a yearly basis to update all that data? Please give me an idea. 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks? What kind of data entry is involved? Just vague estimate, guys, would help me to understand that, to prioritize it better. Because for us, we think, a 500 people company in a couple of states will take probably 1 day, not necessarily a senior HR even person, 1 day in a year. And therefore we felt it's not the end of the world, but clearly we could be wrong. I would love feedback while we're at it. That's all.
So she said, we have 150 plus salary levels across our school, so it would take at least a couple hours to manually input.
Sure. A couple of hours, even let's say if it's half a day, that's what we sort of estimated. Yeah, I understand, and you would rather not do even 5 minutes, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying we felt, if that's all you have to do, say on a yearly basis even, it's manageable. We wanted to make sure we finalize all the features in it before we do the import, because we will then have to change the import if we say there's another parameter that we want to add when you're capturing that information. We're still getting feedback from people. A lot of companies use it in the real world, but I'm just saying still, as more and more adoption, we want to feel comfortable. Yep, it's stabilized now. Then we can start to do the import, because we will have to change the import every time we say, oh, there's another piece of information we want to capture here. All right, thanks, guys. Let's move on. But we definitely appreciate the question, and it's a good question. So I'm going to approve it now, guys. No comments, and approve it. So now when I go back to the HR view, or the managers, whoever's driving the recruitment and the offer, go back to the job, the floor staff, the candidate now is in progressing. I'll go back, and I want to now move them from the offer approval to the onboarding. So we're going to automatically, it pops up because I've created the automation in my workflow. It says, okay, which pack you want to send them. You can even automate exactly the exact pack you want to send if you know already that, and it opens the pack straight away. The automations, we have a separate session coming up in a few weeks' time about the workflow, the recruitment workflow automations, such as what you just saw, and very, very interesting. It's got so many cool features. So which pack I want to send them, a new starter, say, start, here's the pack, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to worry about anything to do with onboarding. That's not what we're trying to do. Oh, this is, it's got the wrong, picked up the wrong pack. It's a new employee type. It should be for that the pack. Get out of it anyway. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go to recent packs and I'm going to manually complete it. I don't want to waste time sending it and go through everything. So manually completed. I think it has to be sent first. I mean, I can do it, but just in case, it doesn't need any editing, so I might as well start sending. It's my email address anyway. Send it. Now I'm going to go back to recent. It says it's actually with the candidate now. I'm going to now say manually completed. So now this is the same as the candidate going through all the items and completing them, including, signing contract, completing form, watching a video, whatever that might be. So what we are hoping now will happen, if I go to the org chart, that person should appear, should have appeared already in the org chart. So, sorry, that's it. A flawed staff fee. Remember, I wanted to recruit 4 people. We've only made 1 offer. So the idea is you'll make another offer, boom, another person comes up here. Another offer, another person comes up there, another offer there. All part of that same job because we're hiring 4 people at the same time. So that's me. That's the person that just completed their pack. And it says here pending effective date, which is, as you know, in about 3 weeks' time. If we click here, I think we show you the effective date. Oh, why the effective? Oh, it's right there. In 18 days, it says, guys. So it's pending effective date, but everything is completed now. So that is, oh, sorry, I used my own Zoom. I shouldn't. You're supposed to use, well, it's better if you use those things here. And you can then, from here, open collapse wherever you want. This will recenter. This will redo the Zoom. Just 1 second. I always do my own Zoom and I confuse things. Okay. So this is where you can zoom from here. It's a lot better. If I just yeah, that's the department that we've recruited under, which has got different even color, and that's the person we've hired. And as you can see, guys, in here, what I was going to do is we've got the person's name, got the position name, you've got the location, the property, the dancing dingo in North Sydney, supposed to be in Queensland. Remember, we stuffed up there, but nevertheless, you've decided, you've added all the locations, the sites for the business. It could be a mining site, it could be a restaurant, whatever, and it's showing there because we in the org chart decided this is the information that we want to surface. It's also showing you the department name. So if I go to here, if you want to, where's that coming from? We've decided we want to see the location, the department, and is it full-time or part-time in here, and other information that will go under the more. And you only show you 3 things here: permanent, full-time. In this case, sorry, where's the candidate? Why it's not showing you the permanent full-time? I'm not sure why, guys, in here not showing that, but nevertheless, it should be showing that it's permanent full-time, and it's front of the house, the department, the site, which is in this case the restaurant, and it's a floor staff position and the name of the person. If there's a picture, it would appear in here just like that, like Greta's, and there's a shortcut to go into the employee record from here, if you have the access to it. So that's all. That stuff is controlled under the new permission system that we have. For example, the more to dig into more information that you decide you want to make available as a shortcut from here, you can say only this type of user can access this versus just seeing what's on the surface here of this. All that falls under the new security system that we did and the role that we did about 6-8 months ago now, which is really good. The access control, clearly, when you're building data like that, who can see what is very important. Okay, so I think we've done really well. We have about 15 minutes.
Yeah,
we can now go back to different parts of what I've covered because that covers everything. So now it allows us to take more questions from you and make it more interactive.
Yeah,
so let's go for it, guys.
We've got a couple.
Mhm.
So Jacinta says, is it possible to amend the recruitment workflow once it's been selected and the approval has been completed?
Not for this. You can do it for future requisitions, but we believe, please correct me on that, challenge me on that if I'm wrong, but where it's coming from, if I'm not mistaken, is the integrity of the process. You can't change the goalpost. Once you've asked the manager to approve A, B, C, D, then you can't change that. We believe it's like you're going around it. It's a security loophole. Security is the wrong thing here. It's information integrity loophole. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe is going on. So how do you feel about that, guys? But certainly you can continue to improve on the form, but it would be applicable to any requisition that haven't started or maybe in draft. I believe it's in draft. If you refresh it, come up, but certainly not once it's submitted for approval, because that person could be looking at it, the approver, and you're asking them to, look, you're going to hire, these are the conditions, and then all of a sudden they approve it, but it's actually going to show up as something else later. Then you can start to hire on the basis, you can start to recruit, advertise, recruit on the basis that's different to what they've approved. It's really the integrity of the workflow.
Very good. We have another one from Susan. Can you add another step for HR to reject and provide comments after the manager has approved?
Of course.
In case HR picks up.
100%. It's very typical. I don't know if typical, but I've heard it many times. We've held a lot of companies do it. So 100% makes sense to a lot of companies if they feel, I mean, to be honest, I have to say this though, guys, but let me show you how it's doable first. So I definitely acknowledge the point, and it's a good point, but I just want to comment on it about something. So, excuse me. When this is a requisition, I'm the admin person, I'm doing editing to the workflow. This is a section about the requisition approval. At the moment, I've got one approver. I can't change it because it's live. So what we'll do, I'm going to duplicate it. Let me just delete this for clarity. It's an older draft one. I want to delete it. So we start fresh. You can see we've got only 3 forms in total. 1 request to hire, 1 offboarding, and 1 change of condition and crossboarding. So I'm going to duplicate the request to hire because that's what we are talking about. So it becomes draft. No one sees it, not in use. You can do whatever you want to do with it. And once you're happy with it, you can then delete the old one and make the new one live. That's the best way of doing this. So here you go. This is the draft one. I can go into it and do whatever I want to do now because it's not affecting anybody. It's not in use. Okay. What we want to do, you want to come to this section. Let me first of all show you how you can change even the name of this thing. So approver, I don't know, call it approver level 1, could be the GMs, could be whoever. So I've just changed the name in this case for the approval step. I want to add a new step. So this is going to be called the approver level 2. And what I'm going to do, as a matter of fact, I'm going to edit this from instead of level 1. That was what we want to do is make it HR, and even say in here for accuracy or something. You want to make sure everything was filled out properly. Yeah. And you can, because it's the HR team, you can nominate who's going to be, instead of select everybody, you can say select everybody in the HR team or select certain people. So instead of select any user, you can say restrict. Sorry, that is the default option. Select any user. So when the manager, as they are pushing this, they have to select 2. But because it's the HR team, I would add all the people here, the relevant people. So every user will be available. You go, okay, it's going to be Aaron, and it's going to be Frank, and that's the two people. And you know what? Select them automatically, manually select approvers, which means either of them will be okay. Either of them will be invited to go and make the editing. And then once either of them completed that piece, it will move to the second approval. So let me just save it first. So now we've got the HR straight after the manager submits it. This is the person that submits the form. Now it comes straight to HR and you can make certain amendments. And what you can do for even more accountability, you can say, okay, what HR want to add value to is maybe, I'm just going to use a silly example, to the department field or to the remuneration or whatever, yeah? Let's do the remuneration, which comes under the engagement. So you would go in here and say, go to advanced, I believe, and you can say, this is the approval here, the HR approval point. It's editable, it's read only at the moment, they can't edit it, it's going to be editable. So that's how much control we give you on a per field basis to say, I want HR to be able to edit those fields. That's where the dispute is. That's where maybe it's difficult information. It takes a lot of knowledge for the manager to know what they should do here with this data when they fill in a form. I want to be able to override and correct them or fix it and work with them on that. So that's how much control you have. So far, have I addressed your question, guys? So you can have as many approval points here, and you can have the HR to be injected anywhere you want. With full visibility, everybody knows from the beginning the HR is involved because they want to make sure some data is accurate. But clearly from the integrity point of view, if you want to, people need to know if I'm the CFO approving something, HR is going to come after me and be able to override what I did. Well, is that really right? They want to probably be comfortable with that. So it's an internal thing between you and them, guys, but certainly doable with as much control or lack of control that you need.
Very good. We have another one from Rolf. Hi, if I have loaded my EBA salaries into the system, can I share this with another school under the same EBA to save them time?
Someone, maybe it's the same person. Sorry, who is this?
So this is Rolf from SJC.
Did you bring this up with us before? Because it's a great point. I'll explain how we understand it anyway and see what everybody thinks about this, especially people in the school. School now is our equally number one category between aged care and disability and schools. That's the top three categories. So we have so many schools that use us. And is it you that you said that you brought this idea to us before?
Rolf? No.
Okay. Essentially, it's a great idea if we can make that sort of allow that to be sort of a shared page, and it's only one person in the sense have to update it, and everybody benefits from these updates. If we can create that kind of a collaboration piece on it, I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
It's going to take some R&D, guys, and stuff, so it'll take a while, but I really love the idea.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Daniel has asked, are all users under a certain role able to access the requisition form if we develop these in Martian Logic system, or will we need to link the user to the requisition form so that can access it?
Can you start again? The first part, I wasn't clear on that.
So are all users under a certain role able to access the requisition form?
Okay. No, I got it. Sorry, I should have understood it straight away. The question is very clear, guys. It's not on you. Don't feel bad. That was a great question. So I'll go back to the draft one. It doesn't really matter. So what you can do, because as you said, this first section here, this first approval, it's not even optional for you. It's always injected because that's really the person that submits it. You can't remove that. As you can see, you can remove what you're customizing, but that is not removable because all we're saying is that's the person that submits it, yeah? So what you can do, go in here and restrict people in the same manner that we said before. So I'll say in this case, let's say if it's only me, that means only me now can submit this form. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that address it? So it's on a per form basis to give you even more flexibility. I mean, the chances are companies should only have one requisition form. To be honest, I would be really surprised and concerned for them if they have more than one, because all the innovations we've been doing, including the RAM, is to ensure they're so flexible you shouldn't need more than one form. Because one more thing on that as well, if you have multiple forms, why you should be able to consolidate now. Even the approval, for example, let's say the CFO want to be injected as an approver only for things over 100K, or only for things, maybe you've got a drop down that says this is an executive role, or this is a GM role or something, and that's when the CFO says, I want to be able to be an approver. You can do that, same CEOs, whoever. So a whole approval step can come in and out depending on any drop down you have in the form, any drop down. So that's one of the innovations, but there's also dependencies amongst the fields and other things like that. We would be surprised, people like Ben and myself and Lewis and people in the implementation team, this is how we say it, put it so, we would be surprised if with all the innovations we have, you still feel the need to have more than one direct form. Let's say 2 max. And in saying that, you just have to go to those forms that you feel you need to change and to restrict that form, and then just go in here and select the 1 or more users that you want to be able to submit them. Is that satisfactory, guys?
Daniel? So he came back saying, so access to create the requisition forms is linked to the creator of the forms. So therefore, any user can create a form if they have an account in Martian Logic?
Creating the form is different to who submits the form. I thought we were discussing submitting the form. To create the form, which is what I'm doing now. So this is an admin function. Only admin people can do this. Only owner or admin. The permissions, the system works on the basis of every account will have one owner, and only an owner can create an admin. An admin cannot even create another admin. Yeah. And so in this case, the answer to your question, to create the form, you have to be either admin or owner. The submission of the form, I thought you were referring to, we might have stuffed this up for you, but we thought you're saying who can submit the form, meaning which manager really. It's not an HR function we're talking about or an admin function. It's from the usage of the form point of view, you want to restrict it to certain managers, I thought the question was, and this is how you do it.
Does that help, Daniel? Okay, yeah, he says, thanks for that.
Awesome.
I did ask for both creation and submissions.
Okay, sorry, we missed the creation then. Thank you, Daniel.
Very good. Excellent. Any more questions from anybody? We have about 5 minutes left.
If no questions, I certainly know one area I can add value a bit more to it or explain a bit more, but certainly I would rather work with your question, guys. In the meantime, while you're typing your question, I'm happy to be interrupted.
We do actually have...
Good, let's do it.
Annalise says, can you please go through proxy approval?
I don't know what that is.
Can you elaborate there? Okay, so she says...
I'm not an HR person, don't forget. I'm just a humbled technologist, guys. I'm not an HR person.
All right, so she explains, so when someone might be away and you wish to select someone else to be the approver.
Oh, okay. The number of ways of doing this. I'm just on the fly trying to answer this because, as I said, there's a number of ways of doing it. For example, if let's say in here, we took the example of the HR, see we've selected 2 people, could be 3, 4, 5. That means if this person's away, the other person can do it, right? So that in itself is called. Nevertheless, your question is still very, very good question. So let's say that was the case where select any user and the person selected the user. They said, okay, John's going to approve it. So it's going to be stuck with John. You're right. There's definitely something there, guys. It should be very visible. I just really can't remember, but maybe what we'll do, we will submit a rec and it becomes quite apparent. So this thing that we did, go back to it. Make sure HR is now selected to be any user. Perfect. And I'll make it live now. Takes a second. So now what we'll do, we'll go and use it. So I'll just go quickly here, the same team that we had before. I'll cancel the approval and start a new one to make sure it uses the latest form. So this is now, I'll go here, I want to recruit into this position. The form is selected. There's two of them because I didn't rename it when I duplicated it. We have to now have a guess. It's all good. Actually, I can demonstrate it from either, to be honest. That's fine. What we're going to do, we're going to quickly approve this. Did it pick up the HR? No, so it's the wrong one. Okay, what we're going to do, we know which one now. We tried, but there's only one. It's only two options, right? Okay, so recruit, and it's the first one. Fingers crossed. Yes, okay, so that's the one. So we're going to select one person, say I'm in HR. And level 2, we're going to select this person. And level 3, we're going to select, this person. Let's submit it. So that it should now come to the HR person that we selected, which I think was me. But we're not going to go and approve it. We're going to say now this person is on holidays or sick or whatever, which is what this question is about. Pending approval, that's the one here. So what you'll do when you go back into it, if you open approval, you as the person that submitted it, or an admin person, I think, can do it. What can you do here? What can you do here? I wish we can get Ben on this. Ben knows this better. If you do, for example, this, can you resubmit it? Or is it treating me now as if I'm the approver because I'm the approver? Can we get Ben on this? Guys, I know for a fact it's doable. Can you take this up? If you can call support literally from this moment onwards,
Yep.
I will make sure Nathan, who the chancellor will answer the call or just send an email, we will be able to explain it to you.
Yeah, Annalise, if you just call support or email, we'll get that sorted for you.
It's a little convoluted for me because I'm playing the role of an admin person, the HR person, the manager, the approver. So maybe I'm confusing the system and I get confused. That's all.
Very good. So we just have a few more polls. On a scale of 1 to 5, how likely are you to recommend our requisition module and approval workflows? This is one of our polls.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought that was a question to me. I'm a little distracted, guys. I'm sorry.
That's okay. When you're in.
Okay, let's have a look. That's an interesting question.
And then the last one, what aspect of these webinars provide most value to? Oh, I think we've actually gone through that one, so that's fine.
But that last one is really great. If you can, guys, fill it out. As you know, this is anonymous.
Yeah.
We don't know who said what, so please, that would give us feedback. That would be amazing. We would really appreciate it, guys, if everybody can just pick an option from that last one on a scale of 1 to 5. Because I say to people, that's really the real question. It's like when you go to a restaurant, speaking of restaurants before, people ask you questions about, did you like this? Did you like that? It's all great. You can have conversation. But when the question comes, would you go back? That's the real deal. Same with something like our platform, being software. The real question is, would you recommend it? And so it means a lot to us to learn about the sentiment out there and stuff like that. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it very much. Don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to do a separate session for you. Reach out to me, to Jess, to support, and happy to organize, bring all the right stakeholders in your business, and we can do a session with you guys about whether it's just a health check to see what you're not using and should be using and how you're doing things, and you want some feedback on how you're doing things, whatever that topic might be. We do these all the time and we love to do them.
Very good. That's our wrap up.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
We appreciate your time. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
How do you finish the session now? I'm confused. There, end session. All right.